Well, unless you've been hiding under a rock or lucky enough to have been in a coma for the last couple weeks, you have no doubt heard the Trump administration, the Trump campaign, the Trump lawyers, and millions of Trump loyalists out there telling us that this 2020 election was just filled to the brim, overflowing with massive voter fraud. Now, we haven't seen any evidence of this. Even the DOJ, William Barr, has said there's no evidence of this out there. But nevertheless, these Trump loyalists at every level, including Trump himself, who is loyal to himself, have said it's out there. And they've seen the evidence. You just have to open your eyes to see it. Well, this week, a Republican representative in the U.S. House of Representatives by the name of Denver Riggleman, which might be one of the best names ever, went on the Yahoo News podcast called Skullduggery, where he talked about the similarities between these Republicans who believe that voter fraud is everywhere and people who believe in Bigfoot. Now, here's what's interesting. Riggleman himself actually spent time as a Bigfoot hunter, a Sasquatch hunter, when he was a contractor for the NSA. So, it's basically like government-sanctioned Bigfoot hunting. This dude has actually done it. So he had to spend time with the die-hard Sasquatchers out there. And this is what he had to say about his time out there with the Squatchers. I don't know if we should call them that. That sounds weird. Anyway, here's what he said. Everybody saw red eyes. They had rocks thrown at them. They heard hoots and hollers and screams. They saw bent branches that were the territorial markings of Bigfoot. All I heard were friggin' squirrels and birds and screeching. No matter what I used as logic, it was turned back on me. There was no basis I could get to them where we had a common understanding of what facts were and what truth was. So if you wanted to see this thing, you did. You saw it everywhere you turned. But if you were looking at it objectively, you didn't see it anywhere. And Riggleman goes on to say that, here it is. Look at Rudy Giuliani. Look at Sidney Powell. Look at Jen Ellis. They have turned election irregularities into systemic fraud, and that's turned into the NSA actually exploiting and injecting code into multiple voting machines that aren't interconnected, that Dominion has implanted code from Venezuela, and that there's an invasion of a United States military base in Germany where computer servers used in the election are supposed to have been stolen. It's creating a false narrative around a small kernel of truth and radicalizing people or pushing them into a belief system through a digital virus that is social media. To put it another way, they're taking their own delusions and they're putting it on the public, and unfortunately too many people in the public are eating it up. Kind of like he said the Bigfoot hardcore folks did. Or do. And he's clearly spent time with both. He is a Republican member of Congress who says that, by the way, later in the interview, he really doesn't see a future for himself in the Republican Party because they've gone this route. They're, big into the, other groups, that you know what I'm talking about, right? But he says there's nothing there. There is no there. And I think in this particular instance, we need to listen to Denver Riggleman, who, again, by the way, dude, that's an awesome name. Denver Riggleman. Love it. I absolutely love it. And I love your analogy here. And by the way, I actually started to dig into the numbers on this. How likely is it that you're going to see a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, here in the United States? There's about 200, on average, over the last 50 years, there have been roughly 200 Sasquatch sightings in the United States per year on average. So 200 per year. How many instances of actual voter fraud do we have in the United States per year? Anywhere between 1 and 3. Not 1 in 300, not 1 in 3,000. Number 1 and number 3, literally this many. So the average of that would be 2. So you are in the United States today 100 times more likely to run into a Bigfoot than you are to run into voter fraud. Yet that hasn't stopped Trump from claiming it. That hasn't stopped Giuliani and Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood and Jen Ellis and millions of cult members of the MAGA brigade.